Hey, everybody, you're in the exciting green room for DisrupTV. And of course, we got two amazing guests in the background. You're here with my awesome co-host, co-founder, Vala Afshar, our amazing producer, Elle. And of course, we got two guests. We're going to introduce them in reverse order, ask them where they're coming in from today, and more importantly, ask them what they're talking about in less than 20 seconds. So, Pascal Bornet, where are you coming in from?
Yeah, I'm based in Miami.
Yeah, excellent. So, cool. What are we talking about today? What's on your agenda?
We're going to talk about how can we become and how can our businesses become irreplaceable in a world where technology and AI is changing everything and where we all need to adapt in order to thrive. So what is the ultimate guide to get there?
All right. Sounds good. Okay. All right. We're going to go to Brian. Brian, where are you coming in from? What are we talking about? What secret compound are you broadcasting from?
Good to see you all. I'm coming in from San Clemente, California, one of the surf capitals of the United States. I'm here to learn about Irreplaceable and talk over Pascal because I'm a big fan of his. On top of that, we're also going to talk about Mindshift and to complement Pascal's narrative, how we need to open our minds to see the future differently and how to build new bridges to it.
All right. Well, we've got an exciting hour ahead of us. And of course, we'll turn it back to Elle for the count. All right. All you.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on DisrupTV. My name is Vala Afshar. I'm the Chief Digital Evangelist at Salesforce and your co-host for the next hour. We welcome you to follow us on X at DisrupTV Show. Send Ray, myself, our distinguished guests, your questions live, and we'll do our best to answer them. It's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, Ray Wang. He's the CEO and founder of Constellation Research. He is the best-selling author of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I see Ray on TV every day, Fox Business, CNN, Yahoo, Bloomberg. In my humble opinion, he's one of the top futurists to follow on X at RWANG0. Welcome, Ray Wang, to DisrupTV.
Hey, thanks a lot. I'm here with Vala Afshar, Chief Digital Evangelist for Salesforce. He's also the author of multiple books, including Boundless, a new mindset for unlimited business success and #1 seller on Amazon. But more importantly, executives around the world pay attention to every one of his inspirational, insightful tweets. And more importantly, when he's not speaking or leading events at Salesforce, you can find him writing on amazing topics such as this on ZDNet, and of course, showing up on TV, on Bloomberg, ABC, and other places where you'll find interesting news, tech, business, and leadership. So, but it's not about us. It's about our amazing guests. And who do we have today to kick it off?
Ray, we have a legend that's joining us today. Brian Solis serves as the head of global innovation at ServiceNow, where he leads vision, strategy, program innovation for the company's global innovation centers. Brian also partners with customer executives, ServiceNow leaders, and strategic account teams to advise executives on innovation and business transformation strategies. Brian is a world-renowned futurist. He's an 8-time, soon to be 8-time best-selling author and international keynote speaker. He's the author of over 60 widely read research reports that explore the future of business and industries, disruptive technologies, and important consumer shifts. We're here today to learn about his new book, his new book, which is going to be launched soon, called Mindshift. You can order right now. I don't leave the house without it.
Well, how'd you get a copy already?
Listen,
I only have a reviewer's copy.
listen.
Oh my!
But I got a little juice. Mindshift, transform leadership,
It's
drive
not
innovation.
even available.
You know, for those of you who doubt whether I have juice, right here. You can follow Brian. By the way, it's a beautiful book, illustrations, pithiness, wisdom. You just want to squeeze this and gain all the wisdom of a 9-time best-selling author. Breaking prediction right here. Follow Brian Solis on X. Obviously, he was an early adopter, Brian Solis. Welcome, Brian, to Disrupt TV, and congratulations on Mindshift.
Amazing. I am. Look, I got to tell you, as longtime friends, I'm just personally blessed to be here. As an admirer of both of you, your intro reel is incredible. I mean, that is wild. How you guys on TV, you guys being interviewed, you guys on stages, but also then just a reel of all the amazing people that you've had on the show. I'm humbled and very proud to be here, and honestly, in a very proud moment. This is my first book in 5 years.
Well, this is where it gets really exciting. I mean, Brian, we've known you for so long, and you've always had a book. You've always had a new idea. And now that you've had time to digest and think about what it means, right? We're really excited to get started here to talk about where Mindshift's headed. You even get an introduction from the legend himself, Bill McDermott, in terms of your forward, which is really wild. So what's driving the inspiration for this new book? Because I've read all your books, right? And this is the first one that hasn't come in multiple colors. It's just black and yellow. So
it is actually very strategic to be. It's the first book that I didn't design to be an analog app, and that was a very important strategy to the book concept itself. That the book had to be a demonstration of what innovation could look like if you challenge legacy or traditional models. This one, though, is really about getting back to basics, allowing yourself to appreciate and recognize how far you've come in life, but also to realize that we're actually standing at an intersection where we can take all this new stuff and pack it into business as usual, or we can open our minds and see all of this new stuff to create a new future forward. And I didn't want the design to take away from the experience this time. I wanted to just get right to your brain, right to your heart, to hopefully inspire the reader to see themselves in the role of tomorrow's leader right now.
And you cover a lot of ground, transforming leadership, driving innovation, reshaping the future. You've got an incredibly important role at ServiceNow as head of global innovation. When you're writing this book, how are you aligning your thesis, your vision, how you guide your readers, especially your stakeholders who are your ServiceNow colleagues and customers and partners? Tell me, how you fit the narrative to ensure that your immediate stakeholders are benefiting from your wisdom?
Well, over the last 2 years, I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with a lot of our customers in our innovation centers. And you see firsthand where companies are struggling, where they're trying to go, and you also see where they're not trying to go. And you recognize that there's an opportunity to help. If you think about traditional technology investments, the role of the CIO and the IT organization is meant to make the organization more efficient, more scalable, faster, help to drive profitability. But it is a constantly transforming, a constantly evolving role. And sometimes what we need to do is take a step back and ask ourselves, what is my purpose here? What am I really trying to do? Am I really being measured by how much I take out in terms of costs of the organization? Or in an era of AI, the 5 stages of generative AI on our way to AGI, according to OpenAI, for example, is this an opportunity to reimagine the role of technology in the organization, to not just pursue digital transformation, but to pursue business transformation, right? Have we stopped and asked ourselves, are we digitizing yesterday's processes, or are we reimagining tomorrow's processes? Because I think you need to do both, and you need to have the freedom. You have to give yourself permission. You have to get permission. You have to feel safe in order to start thinking in these new horizons. And so what I wanted to do, what I see every day in the wonder of our customers and our colleagues, is that we have a chance to help one another, empower one another to see the future differently. And rather than wait for someone to tell us what to do, we can start imagining, we can start asking questions, we can start finding those different answers and work together to chart our way towards a new and better future.
But your main point here is the fact that you have to see it, right? You have to be able to have that self-aware mind, that shiftable mind, to be able to get that conversation in place. And the problem is we've been inundated and trained in a way that keeps us from doing that, right? And that's the crux of how do we get out of that, right? Because this is a very, very different type of leadership, right? And a very, very difficult type of leadership. So how do you break out of that?
Yeah, if you think about every disruption that we've had going back, but to even before COVID, think about the smartphone revolution in 2007, even to November 2022 with ChatGPT. We're taking these radical innovations and we're putting it into the box of status quo.
Yep.
And it's what we've always done, and we've always done it because it works. And we continue to grow and evolve. Well, for the most part, we do. But actually, I started recognizing, sitting in these rooms with executives, that there were a lot of questions not being asked. That a lot of the decisions that were being made were within the confines or the constructs of yesterday's frameworks and measures of success. And I remember one day I was preparing for the Baker Hughes big innovation event in Florence, Italy. And I realized, oh my goodness, what we're not talking about is what that AI first company is going to look like. Because if you think back to the days of smartphone, or if you think back to the days of social media, or to the days of Internet 1.0 with Amazon in 1994, every technological wave of disruption has brought with it a new genre of companies that were internet first, digital first, mobile first, social first. And we haven't yet seen that AI first company. And when we do, it's not going to be a linear progression. It's going to be an exponential curve that's going to forever change. The delta between that exponential curve and the linear line, that's disruption.
Yes.
And I didn't want to have to be part of having to watch it happen in mass. I wanted to be part of that solution, and I wanted to help our customers become part of that solution,
Brian,
and have those types of conversations that are going to open new doors.
Brian, you were so kind to invite me to one of your innovation summits. It was about a year ago, where you brought in someone, one of your customers. I was the last person to present, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, there is that people are afraid to ask the questions. They are not in the right frame of mind to do that. And one of the things that, had to do to actually get these individuals to that place was I threw out all the presentations. I had nothing. We just drew it out on the whiteboard so that they could start from scratch. And it's almost techniques like that we have to go back to. So it's like the basic core of like, what do you really want to do here? And most people don't know where they want to go. So the question is, how can I lead you to where you might want to go to actually start that process? And it was a fascinating conversation.
Thank you, Ray, for being there for that. You were exactly the right person for that moment, because that's exactly what we needed.
I felt so inadequate. You had like Jeffrey Moore, you had Daniel Kraft, you had like all the experts, and you got me, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Other than taking them to get a new iPhone, which the launch was that day. I was like, come grab the iPhone with me. I live in Cupertino. This is easy.
We still talk about that day. So thank you. There's a thing that we tend to, the psychology of transformation, the psychology of innovation, even the psychology of scenario planning towards the future is limited by where you allow yourself to sit. So if you think about the three spheres of our comfort zone, there's what we know at the center, and that's our experience, that's our success, that's our failures, and it really is our center of reference. We make a lot of decisions based on that center. Then there's the second sphere, which is we know what we don't know. And that becomes sort of like the boundary of our comfort zone. And in those two areas, we're making decisions, we're looking to excel, we're looking to grow. But the outer sphere is actually where the future starts to take shape. And it is what I don't know. I don't know. And that area is uncertainty, it's uncharted. And the exercises that I outline in this book are the frameworks that I personally use and have observed some of the best in the world use to be able to navigate that outer realm, to find clarity in uncertainty, and to take steps towards it to make it a new comfort zone. And that is when you start to wonder. That's where you start to ask different questions. That's where you feel safe and free to be more creative, to be able to open the doors that allow you to find new ways forward. Not all of them are going to work, but at least you're not operating where everybody else is comfortable and you start to become the disruptor.
Exactly.
You're a very deliberate thinker. You're a very deep thinker, and you're forward-looking. You exhibit the characteristics and traits of great leaders: empathy, self-awareness, optimism, gratitude. So I've known you for a long time, and you're very deliberate. So my question is, do you think women are better suited to have clarity of thought and the correct mind shift approach? And do they ultimately make better leaders? Because when I look at the endorsements of your book, they're all women: Kara Goldman, Allison Levine, Whitney Johnson, Amy Edmondson, Rita McGrath. These are the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 Thinkers 50 extraordinary leaders who think about mindset and have written and lectured and have TED Talks about this. So you were deliberate about this. You had to be. Why is it that you chose to have extraordinary women endorse Mindshift?
Man, you know somebody when. Yeah, that was very deliberate. Some of the greatest inspirations in my life have all been women leaders or women who should have been leaders. And I actually had a longer list, but I wanted to keep it very tight of the people who I was mostly working with, or whose work I was closely following as I was writing this book.
They're the best. They're the
Yep.
best. Whitney
They
Johnson's the best.
Yeah.
Rita McGrath is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your short list is Hall of Fame list.
Yeah, I was really proud when they said yes, and that was it. There was not going to be any more endorsements inside the book or for the website. It was just those 5 on the back.
I just want to let you know, Ray and I were waiting. No, we can wait for the 10th book, but because surely you're not going to wait another 5 years. Go ahead, Ray.
No, but hey, what I love about the book, right? What we're seeing is really this need to actually think about what's new, right? And you coin this term novel economy. What is it? Why is it important? Are we in the midst of this novel economy? And I say it this way, right? The internet age, right? We can now look back. There's a demarcation in time that we can say all the digital stuff we talked about was still internet. All the stuff we talked about, mobile, 5G, that was still internet. All the stuff we talked about, all the way up to here, right? That was the internet age. And now we have a demarcation that we are in a different economy, right? And that's what you're saying right now. What is that novel economy?
The novel economy has been something I've been tracking since the novel coronavirus. And I took inspiration from novel coronavirus in appreciating that novel means new and unusual. And the reason why that was important is that it was an era where we didn't have the answers. We didn't have a playbook. And then you had ChatGPT, and you reinforce the idea of a novel economy. Nobody had a playbook for how to adapt immediately to generative AI. And for the most part, they still don't. We're still talking automation. We're still talking business as usual. So the novel economy is the appreciation that we are in a new and unusual economy, one that is still taking shape, one that is still uncertain. And we can give ourselves choices. We either operate in that realm of what we know and what we know we don't know, or we start to open our mind and operate in what we don't know, and see if we can find some clarity and some answers. And therein lies the opportunity to create a new playbook forward. And that's what I hope Mindshift is sort of the framework to help you define what we do differently next, and then tell us about your success, tell us about your experiences.
For those of folks that are watching who may not know about you and your background and your work, and we only have a 20-minute show, so I had to reduce your bio to 1/10. Tell us about your background, and why does your background help you construct this mind shift narrative and thesis, and also remind us what you mean specifically when you hear the word mind shift. What does that mean to you? But start that journey with your background and why you're uniquely qualified to give advice on the proper mind shift we need to be successful in this.
Yeah, and throw in the names Oprah, Shaq, and Ashton Kutcher while you're at it.
Now you know why I had to reduce his bio, because it's silly what he's done in his life. Yeah. So someone who has imposter syndrome like me, I'm like, oh man, another guest that's going to make me feel small. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, thanks for teeing that one up. I also struggle with imposter syndrome, and that's why I even asked myself, am I qualified to write this book? And I struggled with that. I wrote 160,000 words for a 60,000 word book. And the reason why was that I was spinning, trying to make sure I was quoting some of the best experts and some of the best thinkers in the world and their work, and doubting the inclusion of my own work and background, and then ended up getting right back to where I needed to be. And so it's hard for me to answer why I think I'm uniquely qualified, but I did have to soul search as I was writing the book and remind myself that, I've helped launch over 1,000 startups in my time. And I took all of those insights and brought it into the enterprise and into to organizations all around the world, to take those insights that I learned from some of the best founders and some of the best investors to help transform companies from the CEO down, or from the CIO up, or from the CMO up. And I have helped transform companies. As Ray mentioned, I've also helped a lot of celebrities, build businesses with celebrities. And I've been very blessed and fortunate to have a lot of experience of transformation. But the other thing, and I'll be really tight with this answer because I know we only have a little bit of time, is in addition to being a practicing analyst, I was also a practicing digital anthropologist and futurist. And so I studied how each technological wave was changing behavior. And I can give you an example. I just wrote a series for Worth magazine that is still studying the resulting effects from 2020, 2021, 2022. And what you have emerging is what's being called an introvert economy. And then you blur that in with the attention economy, which is, as we're seeing with the TikTok lawsuit, is still unfortunately alive and well. And then you now add the AI economy, and you have these three massive forces that are going to further shift behaviors. And the reason why I study that is because once you understand behavior shifts, you can reverse engineer strategy. You could reverse engineer customer experience. You could reverse engineer employee experience. And then technology becomes an enabler. The experience that how people work, for example, or the tools that they use, they all become much more human. AI can help us become much more human once we understand how people are changing too.
It's a great point. One of the big things that we're seeing in this marketplace is that shift, right? And as we change the mindset, we change our ability to think about new business models, we change new ways of actually getting to work. There's a lot moving. And what I would love to ask you about is, right, where do other trends come into place, right? That are going to require this type of new leadership? Is that what you talk about in ambient experience and spatial computing, right? Is that where you talk about in quantum, right? Does it matter if the technology change, or is this just the mindset that we're talking about here?
Oh, I love that question. So I intentionally tried to keep technology trends out of the book, except for to look in hindsight, that to make the point we just talked about, like every shift, to
Yep.
Uber, to Spotify, to iTunes, every shift changed behavior, and we reacted to it historically.
Yep.
And so the part of the mind shift is first starting with self-awareness, that you can open your mind, and that our minds aren't as open as we think they are. And as you get later in the book, what I started to share are the techniques I use to then look at the horizontal trends, so like ambient or spatial, and then, Vala, you know this with Peter Schwartz, and then scenario plan your way towards possible likelihoods and outcomes. So that way you're not reacting to the trend once it's November 2022 and here's ChatGPT and oh my goodness. You have already done the work, the thinking, the planning, maybe the investments into what you would do in that world. In many cases, we've been through plenty of shifts. We know this stuff is inevitable, but we just tend to kind of think it's not coming until it's here.
Yeah.
So the book teaches you the frameworks so that you can actually do that foresight, that planning, that scenario planning.
This will be my final question. But before I ask you, when I think about you, this Adam Grant said recently, the hallmark of expertise is no longer how much you know, it's how well you synthesize. Information scarcity rewarded knowledge acquisition. Information abundance requires pattern recognition. It's not enough to collect facts. The future belongs to those who can connect the dots. You are a synthesist. You have always had this superpower of being able to recognize patterns, connect the dots. So you're perhaps the most influential synthesizer. I don't even know if that's a word that I know.
It could also be an instrument.
Yeah, I know Ray spins. So he would appreciate synthesizer maybe as a label. My question, what's the first step anyone can take jumpstarting their mind shifting journey? They're going to grab your book. They're going to hug it and love it like I do. But then they're going to want to start right away on this journey. What advice do you have to your readers?
Well, first, I'm going to answer Joe's question here, which is any pro tips on how to help a CEO shape their psychology to lead? Yes, read the book. It's exactly what the book's about. So I think the answer to your question is this first part, your Control Alt Delete opportunity. And the reason why I opened the book that way is to recognize that we've all had to reboot systems. And the question is, do you want to reboot to the same operating system, or do you want to reboot to something potentially different and better? And that's the choice that we have to make, red pill, blue pill. And I really believe this is the opportunity where we should reboot to at least open-mindedness, and then let the book guide you through each step. And by the time you finish the book, you will find yourself planning for the future with a methodology that actually works and is approachable, because I wanted to make this book approachable. I didn't want it to be something complex. And the inspiration that helped me synthesize it as I was going, besides Bill's amazing forward, was Rick Rubin's book, The Act of Creativity.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's actually, that book is actually what got me down to 60,000 words. It gave me the confidence I needed to just say, yes, I do know what I'm talking about. And if you look at it, this part isn't in the book, but my last book, Life Scale, really explored creativity. And if you think about just what creativity is in its most basic, it isn't the ability to draw or write a symphony or paint the Mona Lisa. It's the ability to recognize patterns in the world that most people can't or don't want to see, and to connect those dots. And that's really the only superpower you need as you're going through this book, is one, to just be open-minded enough to believe that you can be creative.
Well, coming in at 1.15 pounds, this pound for pound is the best book in leadership you can get. It's now almost in the top 20. It's actually in the top 20 for Amazon for business management, and I'm sure it's going to be a #1 bestseller. We're here with Brian Solis, head of global innovation at ServiceNow, and author of Mindshift, Transform Leadership, Drive Innovation, and Reshape the Future. You can only get this book pre-order October 15th, unless you're Vala Afshar. You can follow us on X at Brian Solis. Someone has a Wiley connection, I see. But anyway.
Yeah. The ultimate flex.
And you can catch Brian live at Constellation Connected Enterprise, October 28th through 31st. He'll be on stage talking about his book. So thanks a lot, Brian. Look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations. Get ready for a wild week of book launch.
Your 9th bestseller. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.
Take care.
Yeah, he's incredible in terms of expanding people's minds. But that's what our next guest has in common. He's another synthesizer. He's another legend in terms of connecting the dots. Pascal Bornet, the founder and former leader of the AI and automation practice at McKinsey and Ernst Young, and author of Irreplaceable, The Art of Standing Out in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. Pascal is an award-winning expert, author, keynote speaker on AI and automation. I've been following his work for a decade. Pascal developed his expertise over more than 20 years. He's a senior executive at McKinsey and EY, where he created and led intelligent automation practices and implemented AI initiatives for hundreds of organizations around the world. Pascal has received multiple awards and is regularly ranked among the top 10 global AI and automation experts. He certainly is a source of where I get my knowledge in these areas. Pascal is the author of Intelligent Automation, which was published in 2020, and Irreplaceable, which was published this year. And his insights have been featured in prestigious publications such as Forbes, Bloomberg, McKinsey Quarterly, and Times. He's also a lecturer at several universities and member of Forbes Technology Council and a senior advisor for several startups and charities. An excellent follow on X at Pascal_Bornet, Bornet. Welcome, Pascal, to DisrupTV.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
Difficult to get there after Brian.
Great
discussion.
He is big shoes to fill, but no, guaranteed you'll do that. So thank you for being here.
We're really excited to have you. You've been an expert in this space for 20 years. As we know, AI has been up and down. It's back hot. But you're not focusing on AI. You're actually focusing on being more human. And that's the one thing that stands out about this book, really about having the ability to understand where a human will succeed versus where a machine will succeed, and bringing out those human qualities inside all of us. And so that's what makes this book so important and so timely, given the fact that we are embracing this AI era going forward. So let's start by talking a little bit about AI obesity. It's a very interesting concept. And what is the AI obesity trap here?
Thank you, Ray. And you're completely right. That's a book about technology that is about humans, and basically the key to success with technology and with AI is within us, within ourselves, and that's what I explained in the book. And to your question, AI obesity, think of fast connections, fast creativity, any fast thing that we are binging on with AI, the same way as we are binging on fast foods or any of those fast, easy to get, sweet, and we want more, but shallow and satisfying, and then after 1 hour you're still hungry.
Okay. I've got AI calories.
I like that.
And that's exactly what happens when we use AI the wrong way. When we, for example, want to create something, an image, go on to writing a prompt that the first sentence that comes to our mind, and gets the outcome from the AI and take it for granted and send it to clients or send it on social media without even reviewing it, without even adding the human touch to it, and without even having this conversation or this work that we need to have with AI before getting to the outcome.
It's a very powerful title, Irreplaceable, something that we all desire, something that we all hope for, something that we all work hard to achieve, and very few do. It's not something that's common. I feel the easiest thing to replace is sameness. And so your 20 years in technology as an evangelist, as a futurist, is to ready us, make us ready for change, make us ready, human ready, make us ready for this emerging technology, AI, which some think could be electricity for the 21st century. Tell us about how in your book you advocate readiness whether it's for technology, for humans, for yourself? And how do you design for continuous movement? Because nothing happens until something moves. Tell us about how you stay irreplaceable by embracing change.
Yes, thanks for this question. So what we all see is faster change that is happening in our world, and all this is driven by technology mainly. The number of innovations we will see in the coming 10 years is as many as we've seen in the last century. Things are increasing in pace, in frequency, and as Brian said, we are in an exponential curve that is boosting everything in our environment, and we see new AI tools coming every day. We have more and more messages, more and more information, our brain, which is a human brain, which can only evolve 1 + 1 linearly, is confronted with our exponential environment, and the gap between those two curves is growing and growing and growing. And this gap causes stress, which is according to the World Health Organization, the 21st century pandemic. It causes depression, of course, and all the issues we know. And on a business point of view, it causes a lot of companies that are being replaced because they can't adapt. They are not resilient enough in this disruption. And in the coming 10 years, we will see half of the S&P 500 disappear, being replaced. So how can we be irreplaceable in such a world where also the capabilities that we thought were only human are constantly being taken over by technology? And the latest ones have been creativity. We thought creativity would be only human until 2022, when we saw those large language models coming and showing us that they can showcase some form of creativity. So what is remaining for us? Because we thought all this, for example, creativity was defining our humanity, our connection with others as well, our capacity to analyze and to have a critical thinking was also something that was only human, but it's being taken over by technology. So what's remaining to us? What makes us human, basically? And the answer that I give in this book is by implementing what I call the 3 competencies of the future. And they are of the future, but we need to prepare and implement them today. We all need to have a plan for what's happening. Those 3 competencies of the future, we need to implement them right now. And there are 3 of them. The first one is being AI ready. The second one is being change ready. And the third one is being human ready. So if you want, I can give you a bit more detail on each of them.
Let's go into detail. And the reason I find this really fascinating is like we are about to get to an existential crisis as to what it means to be a human. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, what does humanity mean? What are those skills? Right? And then we can set the conversation that you get into, which is really valuable, about what does it mean for our children?
Exactly. So in the book, this framework of the 3 competencies of the future is valid for us as people and as humans and as individuals, I would say. Also valid for companies. So exactly the same framework can be used for companies. And definitely it gives us a lot of lights on how to be a better parents, how to prepare our kids for this future, and how to lead better our organizations in this future. So if you want, I can go through the 3 competencies of the future.
Yeah, please definitely hit those up and tell us. So
the first one is AI ready. Being AI ready is quite easy to understand. It's about using AI, leveraging AI to the maximum extent so that we can, as individuals and as companies, benefit as much as possible from the opportunities that are offered to us by AI. Being more efficient, more performant, more creative. So it's not only taking all the good from it, but also understanding the whole picture and being able to update ourselves. So building this AI literacy, which I think I explain in the book, we should spend 15% of our working time on, which is about keeping ourselves updated on what is new, what is happening, and what can be interesting for me and provide an opportunity for me or for my company.
So purpose and understanding, and where you see kind of growth. So
exactly, and always with the eye on what is my goal and how it can benefit to my goal. That because it's not human. I mean, we can't. Today there are so many AI tools and so many new things coming out every day that we can't try all of them. So it's about being clear as well on our intention when we use those tools, and being focused on that and not disturbed. So it's about understanding how to identify those opportunities, how to take those opportunities, but also how to having the big picture of identifying what are the limits of those tools and what are the risks that they can bring on. And when we are a company here, it's a lot about managing the ethics of things, biases, privacy, explainability, and for companies, this is an opportunity to create trust. And I think trust is becoming the most important currency of our times. In the era of deep fake, of anything that can be generated by AI, like fast and shallow, and building the trust is the most important thing. And as we all know, that's the same in love. You earn trust. It's not something that you can get right away. So it's a long-term thing. And if you destroy that, it takes a lot of time to regain it. So that's for AI ready. Change ready is extremely important. I think that's one of the most important of the three. And it's based on the fact that it's not the most clever or the people who will use the better AI or that will use AI the best, or the people that are the strongest who will succeed in the future. But it is those people who are capable to adapt and to build resilience in front of a massive change that is coming. And again, this change it's just the beginning. I mean, you're also expert in technology, same as I. And you see how this wave that is coming is challenging everything around us and challenging ourselves and our companies. So for our companies, it means building a whole new level of adaptability and resilience by adapting the culture, adapting the organization, the structure of the organizations, to be ready to disruption, to be ready to change and adapt very quickly. So we need to change all companies into startups, basically, into the nimbleness and the capacity to adapt.
But are you saying startups or startup mindset leveraging their existing assets as well?
Yes. So it's startup mindset, definitely, and it's about I mean, having a product mindset, having this capacity to be reactive, to create from those massive companies, elephants, create many, I would say, mouses that go very fast, and that are separate the one to the other, but that can still connect the one to the other, and that can adapt. And so I think the capacity to have a kind of a swarm effect where you have all different and adapting to the different shapes and to anything that is coming, basically. And that's so. This is for change ready. Change ready on a personal point of view, on an individual point of view. It's a lot about building a new level of adaptability and resilience that we've ever seen as Homo sapiens. We are here today because our ancestors were resilient and adaptable. Sure. And we kind of lost with our comfort this adaptability and resilience. So what we need to do today to rebuild this capacity is to come back to the wisdom of our ancestors and I like to say it's coming back to the wisdom of our ancestors to fight modern challenges. So it's really about embedding what we've learned for millennials.
You
Moving
said,
now to the most, yes.
Go ahead, please.
No, and moving now to the most important of the three competencies of the future: human ready. Human ready is the answer to, in a world where technology is taking over more and more of the capabilities that we always thought were humans, what is remaining to us? And what does it mean if we are able to build uniquely human abilities that are completely different from the capabilities that technology is bringing? Then we are capable of building complementarities, building synergies. So basically, instead of having, if these are the capacity of technology, these are the capacities of human, if we are in this case, in the middle here is a redundancy, okay? And technology always wins because it doesn't sleep, no vacation, no
Faster, cheaper.
Faster, scalable to infinity, and so on.
Yeah.
So we want to avoid this. And to avoid this, we need to be as different as possible. So we need to, and as you see, we cover also more areas. So we create synergy, basically. 1 + 1 = 3. To do that, we need to identify and build the humics, which are our uniquely human abilities. It took me some time to identify what were those 3 uniquely human abilities. And they are, first of all, genuine creativity. Secondly, critical thinking. And finally, social authenticity. So let me give you a little bit more on each of them. So I said genuine creativity. And you might tell me, yeah, but ChatGPT is very creative. I can ask it for a poem, for a story. It's very creative. Yeah, but it's not the same kind of creative that we humans are able of doing. We can create novelty. And this novelty is based on something that is unique to us as humans. First of all, we've all grown up. We all were kids, okay? And we've all had a story. We met people, we had experiences. All this is in our mind. And it's part of our creations then. We have different personalities. We are different. I mean, I'm sure if you have kids, you see how different how different can be the personality of kids living in the same environment. Okay, and thirdly, we have emotions. Emotions are unique to human. At least one key emotion, which is love, and we create with love. Okay, so for those reasons, yeah, we can create novelty, which is about creating from scratch. And this is a very important point for companies. In our companies, in a world where AI becomes a commodity, all companies use the same technology. All companies, at least it's going to come. It's going to be like electricity. It's going to be like the web. Everybody's using the same. It's not a differentiator anymore. The companies who will be able to differentiate will be the ones that will combine at best the technology and the humans, so that AI plus human, this plus that is in the middle, that creates the less friction and the more is the more invasive possible. So it's about reviewing the job roles. It's about reviewing, educating people on how to, for example, create an image using AI. It's not about just writing a prompt and taking the outcome for granted. It's first of all bringing together all our thoughts about our inspiration. What do we feel? What do we think? Giving all this to a large language model, getting from the large language model different options, maybe 20 options.
Yeah.
Us as humans, we choose what are those 3, 4, 5 options that we prefer, and back and forth we iterate with the large language model to fine-tune it, and finally we get to the outcome that we choose, and that we will fine-tune to bring in the ethics that only humans can understand, to bring the nuance, the human touch in it. So all this is to explain the first of the humics, the first of the uniquely human abilities, which is genuine creativity. The second one is critical thinking. Critical thinking is easy to understand. It's first of all being able to criticize and something we need to really teach our kids: criticize and question the outcome that is given to us by technology. We should not take this for granted. And when I see schools banning ChatGPT, no, don't ban ChatGPT. Teach kids how to use it and how to evaluate, how to question the outcome from those systems. They need to learn it. Critical thinking is so important. Critical thinking is also about the ethics. It's also about we will never want a technology to tell us what is good or what is bad in our human world. That's something that is purely from us. And finally, social authenticity, which is the third of the humics. So you might tell me, yes, but I can talk to ChatGPT. It's talking to me like a human. Okay, yeah, but it's very different. It doesn't understand us. I mean, in the sense it doesn't. It's just what it is, and the replies it gives us are just from mathematical probabilities. Which word should come after another? This is the calculation it's doing. So it doesn't understand anything from the meaning, the true meaning of the words, without even thinking about feelings. Okay, so we are the only one as humans. We are the best ones to better interact and connect with another human. Yeah. So
let me recap. You dropped a lot of wisdom in the last 5 minutes or so. Trust is your number one core value. That's got to be something that, as an individual, as a team, as a company, as an ecosystem, trust has got to elevate to being a top core value. You warned us with a comment you quickly said, but I want people to hear, that was, and correct me if I'm wrong, 50% of Fortune 500 will disappear in the near term. And anything in the horizon of 5 to 10 years to me is near term. So that's an alarming stat, but one that's accurate. You talked about 1 + 1 = 3, where you have the machines and the humans, and you don't want to overlap because the machine will win. It's faster, it's cheaper, it doesn't sleep. So you want to have this separation, and the human separation you broke into 3 key core elements: genuine creativity, critical thinking, and social authenticity. And you talked about ethics being a key component of critical thinking, which ties back to number one core value being trust. So my question is, now that I've tried to unwrap this incredible multidimensional wisdom you shared, 50% of companies, you say, are going to fail. Are they going to fail because they're not AI ready, or they're not human ready, or they're not change ready? What's that one thing that's going to be the biggest factor in terms of why 1 in 2 of the most successful companies on earth are replaceable? Why is that?
I really think it's a combination of the 3.
Okay.
And we can see it today. I mean, in terms of AI ready, we see only 10 to 15% of the companies that have implemented AI at scale.
Yeah.
And we see, I like to compare it with the number of workers who are using AI extensively in their work. It's about 75%. So that's a reality that shows us that there is a huge opportunity. People are ready, but we are not ready as leaders to see this opportunity. Another stat that I like to share is 78% of those people who are using AI at work are not using authorized AIs, in the sense it's unsanctioned systems that they are using. So there is also an opportunity to educate, to inform and educate and empower the people with systems that are officially authorized. So just to show you that, in just a few stats.
There's fear at the corporate level, governance level, ethics and privacy, and I think about Clay Christensen's book Innovator's Dilemma, and at one point in the book he said, you may hate gravity, but gravity doesn't care. Corporations' point of view on AI, doesn't matter what they think. This is going to be used. It's already used. It's already adopted. So if you want to, the fastest path to irrelevance is if you ignore gravity. And in this case, it's AI. So yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's even an optimistic number to say 10% or 11% of companies are using, majority of companies. I think it's a low single-digit number, at least based on my experience working with clients. They're dabbling with it, but it hasn't been operationalized, it hasn't been scaled, and it doesn't touch all their stakeholders. So it's super early. And the momentum is there, the excitement is there, but in actuality, we're really early. Ray, closing comments and question.
Yeah, no, it's a great framework. I think it's important to understand what is going to be like for us, what's going to be like the skills we need, what's important in the work, what we have to tell our next generation, and what companies have to do. I think the last piece we didn't talk too much about was really getting an action plan. And I think that's really important. Having that action plan in place is what makes it real. You've been an expert in doing that. So I think that's, that would be the last piece in that equation. So I think it's amazing that's out there. If folks haven't had a chance to read the book, you can get it already on Amazon. It is available right now. And I believe the book came out, September 11th? Yeah, it's September 11th when the book came out. So yeah, so you're all set, ready to go. It's been about a month. It's doing really well. And hey, thank you so much for being here. Pascal Bornet, the founder and former leader of AI and automation practices at McKinsey and Ernst & Young, and author of Irreplaceable, The Art of Standing Out in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. And you can follow him like we all do on X at Pascal_Bornet, Bornet. So thanks for being on the show, Pascal. Happy Friday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ray. Thank you, Ella.
Thank you.
We will meet in person in Miami, actually.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear that folks in Miami are doing okay. Obviously, the last several weeks has been very difficult for the state of Florida. But the state is a very resilient citizens and infrastructure, and they're doing their best. Ray, two big brains, two incredibly successful authors, two futurists. Can you synthesize what Brian and Pascal said in 30 seconds for our audience?
There's such big brains. I really can't do much to help you here. No, we're about to enter a new era. And I talked about this era. Everything we were in before was the internet era. So all this weird stuff about fourth industrial revolution, that's all BS. That was all happening under the internet era. We're about to enter the AI era, and that is a clear demarcation. You have to have a different mindset to do that. This is what the book is really about, that Brian's writing about. Leaders are going to have this ability to have that mind shift, to really think differently and take advantage of all these capabilities to build something new. Pascal, on the other hand, actually is telling us how to be more human. Right? And what does humanity mean? Because as we consume and use more AI over time, what we're going to see is that there are certain things that are very, very human that cannot be irreplaceable. And what we have to do is go find that. Now, the good news is population dynamics are actually dropping. We're going to go from 9 billion to 8 billion to 7 billion in population. And of course, we will definitely need a lot of augmentation and automation. But what becomes human is going to be the question. And really understanding what those skills are really going to redefine those who succeed in this next era and those who actually just become part of the next era. And so I think it's really important for folks to look at it in that manner.
Great summarization. Great summarization. Thank you, my friend. Next week, episode 379. We have two extraordinary guests. I met Matt Yanshishin, who's the general manager for AWS Marketplace and Partner Services at my company's annual conference. And he's an extraordinary innovator doing incredible work at AWS. So really looking forward to learning from Matt. And our good friend, John Nosta, president of Nosta Labs, who's a healthcare futurist, innovation trailblazer, will join us and talk to us about future of medicine, future of AI, and how we can remain relevant and hopefully irreplaceable. So
that is a great question.
I know my days are numbered on DisrupTV with some chat version or agent version of me, but I'm happy that Ray still has me here. If it's Friday, it's Disrupt. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.